On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Always do, in fact. Tulsi Gabbard gotten confirmed. Spoiler alert. But we got the vote. We got some interesting info around that. I'll get to that pretty quickly. We got a whole slew of stuff with the judges fighting what Trump is doing. We've got some news around that. We've got some potential complications that are happening and all sorts of people talking about impeachment. So we'll see how that plays out. And again, a bunch of other news that we want to get into. So we're going to hop right to it. Knowingly committed sedition and treason. Here's a good group of people, especially considering one of them in particular is really fighting hard against Trump right now because he knows he's going to get caught up in this big time. Schumer, obviously, another one, and the way they're beating up on Schumer makes it even funnier. So, all said, here is our lovely lady, Tulsi Gabbard, doing some pretty good shooting here. I feel like there was a couple rounds that missed. At least I don't recall hearing plinks, but she shoots way better than I do. That's some pretty good shooting there. Nice optical she's got on there too, or optic, I guess. I don't know how to properly say that. I think I got an EOS or something like that. Was it holograph? I think mine is. Anyway, pretty good. It's nice. It was funny as I was showing Alpha when he was over at my house. I was showing him my piece, and he's like, "Oh, it was, what was it, a 320 or whatever it is, a Sig?" And I'm like, "I don't know, isn't that like the 1718?" He's like, I look at it and I'm like, "Nope, it's 320. You're right." I pulled the paperwork. I'm like, I'm an idiot. Don't even know my own guns. Yeah, anyway. I did know the others, but that one I was wrong about. Anyway, felt stupid. I probably still got it wrong, too. I don't know if it's 220 or 320. Which one is it? I could look it up, but it doesn't really matter. Tulsi Gabbard confirmed as DNI. Now, we do find out that Gabbard got a 52-48 votes. McConnell was the one that did not vote for her as far as the Republicans, and, of course, then all the Democrats, voted against her. So 53 senators are Republican. One Republican did not vote. This is his statement to the world. The Senate's power of advice and consent is not an option. It is an obligation and one we cannot pretend to understand. Yada, 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 yada. Get down to the part that he's really pissed off about. Edward Snowden's treasonous betrayal of the United States and its most sensitive lawful intelligence activities endangered sources, methods, and lives. Japan is among America's closest allies and blah, blah, blah. So the thing that really bothers the deep state about Snowden, and again, what he did is questionable. I actually kind of, I don't want to call him a hero, but I think he exposed something that needed to be exposed. Especially at the time, there was a bunch of people that were under the impression that iPhones were impossible to hack. And what Snowden released was a number of tools that were used by all sorts of evil actors in order to hack iPhones and other phones too, but certainly iPhones. iPhones are definitely hackable. That's proof. And if you guys think that somehow that stopped being true, it hasn't. I doubt you guys know about the tools that are being used right now, nor I, by the way. But of course, none of these devices are safe. Two, another, just while we're on the subject, biometrics. There's, I think it was O'Keefe. He got arrested, and they literally put the phone in front of his face and unlocked it. So those of you using biometrics, I would caution you, one, if someone steals your biometric file, and that's all it is just a little file, right? And it stores the information on there the way it needs to be. If that file is taken, it could be used to get to your phone, remotely even, right? I could present that as the fingerprint, or make the fingerprint scanner think it just got the fingerprint because I've got the accurate fingerprint, or your face recognition. So you keep in mind, if you do get arrested and you're sitting there and your phone is too, there's nothing to keep them from putting your finger on the phone and opening it. There's nothing to keep them from putting it in front of your face. And boy, that might be a tough one in court. You should theoretically win, but it's been done. Passwords are different. They, are harder to just break, and you can actually say, no, I don't want to give you my password. And they're like, you have to. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not giving you my password. Thank you. Have a good day. You can take me to jail. That's fine. I understand that's the next move, but I'm not giving you my password. So there is things to consider. So all said, we learned a lot through it. It's what Tulsi's been talking about. It's why the deep state hates her so. And I'm actually surprised Murkowski and Collins voted for, frankly, but they did. So we've got Tulsi Gabbard as the new Director of National Intelligence. I apparently did watch this. Here is her talking to us and also talking about how she supports Donald Trump trying to get us out of wars, which of course is awesome. Oh, this was back in 2024. My bad. Anyway, check this out. This is what we should expect to get. Let's call it that.
The contrast couldn't be more clear. This is personal for me, this endorsement of President Trump, because as a soldier now for over 21 years, I've deployed to multiple war zones in different parts of the world, put my life on the line for the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. So it's important to me and to every one of my brothers and sisters in uniform that we have a commander-in-chief who values every one of our lives, who carries that responsibility as commander-in-chief very seriously, and will therefore exhaust all diplomatic avenues before seeing war truly as a last resort. And the last point that I'll make on this, that is another point of contrast, is President Trump showed through his last administration, not only did he not start any new wars, he took action to prevent them by courageously meeting with adversaries, allies, partners, dictators. He would meet with whoever he needed to pursue peace. Kamala Harris criticized Donald Trump for doing exactly that, which shows that if she's elected president, she will not do what is necessary in the pursuit of peace. And I am certain that she will lead us very quickly into a war to mask the weakness and insecurity that she feels and try to project strength using the lives of my brothers and sisters in uniform to do so.
And that's actually a good point, because she, I think, kind of nailed Tulsi, or not Tulsi. She nailed, the hell was her name? Kamala Harris. Named her, like, just nailed her as far as trying to figure out how her modus operandi would be. I think she's 100% right on that. She probably would have tried to act more, more authoritative, kind of like she tried to act smart by AI. Well, it's two letters. Oh my God. It was painful, right? I think I wasn't the only one, I'm hoping. Rep. Anna Paulina Luna. She's going to lead a task force trying to, break down what's going on with UFOs, JFK, 9/11, RFK, Martin Luther King Jr. I feel like there's another one in there. 9/11 and, I don't know. What was the newest one? Holy crap. Why am I missing out on JFK's, the information coming out? Anyway, she's going to tell us here in a second. This part right here, she should feed it to us. Check it out.
Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files. This task force will be a beacon of bipartisanship. On the Republican side, Representatives Burchett, Boebert, Burleson, Crane, Gill, and Mace will be joining me, although I'd like to note that I'm expanding this to the entire governing body and will be allowing certain members to waive.
Yeah, so UFO thingy was the part I was forgetting, basically the drones. Now, here's the thing. I'm expecting zero from this. I am and again, I've said it 100 times. I'll say it another 100 times. I totally believe in UFOs. I totally believe in that kind of technology. I totally believe, right? I do. I think most of what's happening right now is limited hangouts. Most of what's happening right now is not true. Most of what's happening right now is stuff that's actually been made here on this planet. There are maybe some examples that every once in a while that they sneak in that are potentially outside or otherworldly, or I would say more other dimensionally. But what is important is that we need to understand that most of this technology is tied up in companies, not the government. The government does not have these technologies. The government is not manufacturing these technologies. The government has contracts with companies that have technology and much IP, intellectual property, that they are utilizing to do this. That's how it's playing out. So Freedom of Information Act, first off, isn't going to get you shizzle. Second off, anything that is out there is going to be budgetary type things, and those are all black projects, and you'll never, ever, ever, ever get access to that. We'll not find out about what is actually happening. Now, I'm curious because this technology is supposed to move forward into our hands. It's a big part of, many are suspicious that that's probably why Musk is actually there as that helper to receive that. Now, there's a lot of ways this can happen. There's a lot of speculation on how this is going to happen, and I'm not even going to begin to try to say what it will be or is going to be. I'm kind of curious to see how it unfolds. I think it's actually a combination of many, many things, frankly, to be honest with you, and it'd be way too hard to explain, at least on a shorter show. Like weird calling my show that, but anyways. So how this plays out, I don't know. The JFK stuff, I don't know. I heard there's a whole bunch of stuff that CIA maybe never even wrote down or has records of or might have already destroyed. Whatever. Still powerful stuff. Anna Paulina Luna made some additional comments.
What's your priority list? Because Epstein, 9/11.
Our first investigation will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were two shooters, and we should be finding more information as we are able to gain access into the SCIF, hopefully before the files are actually released to the public.
And in my opinion, you guys can disagree, and I'd love to see a comment on this down in the Rumble chat or the chat, wherever you guys are at. But do we really think, one, they're going to bring anything forward? Two, the fact that they're starting at JFK is interesting. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I don't know. I mean, I would think almost working backwards might be kind of fun because we've got so many things that are literally just immediately happen. But I can also see where you would kind of go to the place that really led to a lot of this, especially when you've got RFK Jr. and all these other people. And they want this truth to come out so we can then start to build from there on all the corruption that occurred and really start to unwind our history. And going back to, was it 62 or whatever the 60, whenever the hell it was, right? Like, it's been quite a while. Been almost 60 years plus at this point. So I feel like this is the deep state, like giving people something to nibble on that a lot of people are going to pay attention to. That's really, I think is, I don't want to call it a psyop, but what I think it is actually information warfare chaff, as I call it, information chaff. And it's going to cause a lot of people to be like, and go towards that. Or flare might even be a better way to analogize it, really, as far as if we're going to use, air-to-air type stuff. But, like, it's going to cause people to go running off towards the JFK thing. And maybe that's appropriate. I don't know. I feel like everybody's got their walk, and we're all going to kind of come at this from different angles, and that's really how it should be. But really, to my opinion, what's happening right now, getting the ball moving across the line, getting these judges nailed down, getting these budgets killed, looking into the corruption, right? Like, I almost don't give a shit about 60 plus years ago as much. And this is me, though. So, again, some of you guys are going to come back with some great information. I know it, and then I'll share it because it'll be relevant at that point. But it's, how many hours do you sink into it when you think of all the other stuff that we've got in front of us right now? Again, so I don't know. I wonder, I guess, from that standpoint. I think it will literally be like a flare, an information flare. I like that better. Democrats in Washington just proposed SB 5312. It's going to seek to reduce penalties for child predators caught in online targeted sting operations. Now, Libs of TikTok asking the appropriate question, why do Democrats love child sex predators? There's a whole bunch of info in here about the bill, SB 5312. Elon Musk is like, yeah, because they're child predators themselves. Hello. And that's, why would you defend these people, especially the ones that got caught online? Now, so that's kind of the funny thing, because fishing's a weird thing. Fishing goes many, many directions. You can fish child predators. You can fish all sorts of drug people. You can fish cartel members. You can fish coyotes. You can fish government employees. You can fish company employees. You can do a lot of things. But fishing's a powerful way to get people. I mean, O'Keefe, that's essentially what he does. It's not really fishing information from that standpoint, but he's fishing the truth about companies and some of the mischief they're up to. Like, fishing is when you get somebody to give you what you want. And you do it through a number of means, either pretending to be something you're not, trying to be something you are, but not quite. Like, there's a lot of ways it gets convoluted quickly, I guess. Tom Homan responding to the Pope and his comments, and I'm so happy because this is what I said yesterday. So he's using, he's not using my words. I was just, right on the money.
He ought to get out of the business of our national security and our border enforcement work and concentrate on the Catholic Church. You got a lot of problems right there in the Catholic Church. You got enough to do. You got enough to fix in your own home. Then leave the border stuff to us. We know what we're doing. And here's what he doesn't understand. And plus, he's got a border wall around the Vatican. That's okay. But we can have a border. We can have a wall around the United States. And look, bottom line is, here's what he needs to understand. President Trump has illegal immigration, border crossings down 90%. 90%, which means 90% less people are coming. How many children aren't dying every day on that border? How many women and children aren't being sex trafficked across that border? How many women are not being sexually assaulted by members of the cartels? How many known suspected terrorists aren't crossing that border? Under Joe Biden, over 4,000 illegal aliens died crossing the border. Now it's at a record low. We're saving lives. And that's what the Pope ought to be paying attention to if he wants to get in our business. We're saving lives every day. A secure border saves lives. When less fentanyl comes across that border, less Americans die from drug overdoses. Stick to the Catholic Church. Leave border enforcement to us.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I just can't wait for, I can't wait for a lot of the truths to come out. I want to get ahead of them. Oh man, it gives me a crazy nightmare. In fact, I had a crazy nightmare. I think I've shared it with you guys before, and I had it again recently. And it freaked me out. It freaked me out bad. Like when the alarm finally went off, I was like, oh, thank God I was dreaming. Holy shit, because in my dream, I was going out of my mind. Which is just, for me, brutal. And again, for me, I think it had a lot to do with, like, dude, you can't control this. Just let it happen. You're along for the ride. You're a commentary. You don't need to try to wake everybody up. Can't, right? Because when you try to shoulder that responsibility, folks, I'm going to just tell you, you guys probably do it too, right? It becomes like overwhelming. Like you've got kids or brothers, sisters, siblings, friends that aren't awake yet, and you feel the onus to have to, it's not no. God will take care of it. Their higher self will take care of it. We're just there to guide them once they're ready. Again, we're the dude with the flashlight at the concert, or we're the guys with the yellow, the orange, light things at the airport, right? Like we're guidance. We're there when needed. Prior to that, I can't make an airplane land, right? I can show him where to park, but I can't make them do anything. Lead a horse to water. There's a bunch of analogies, but you get the point. Oh, I think I wasn't supposed to skip ahead yet. No. Microsoft dropped NewsGuard, a left-wing fact-checking organization that they partnered with that helped the advertising industry justify blacklisting conservative people. I think it worked for channels as well. Ted Cruz was involved with this. He began investigating Microsoft for funding the online media literacy censorship tool created by NewsGuard. They're dropping that. Europe is telling American companies that have free speech that they can censor them globally. And they've got rights to do that. This is going to be fun, and I look forward to this happening. This whole House Judiciary GOP Twitter account that they put out essentially says, I'll just read it, I guess. With new expansive censorship laws in the books, the EU can now effectively force American companies to take down posts globally, including the United States. This is a thread. Under recent European case law, a European country can order a takedown globally. Read for yourself cases from Europe's highest courts, including the European Court of Justice. So there's previous stuff. I don't know if they give us the dates. The dates would be what I would be interested in. I wish they would provide that, but whatever, it's in there. I'm not reading it. After major events, even if the events take place outside the EU, such as October 7th Hamas terrorist attack, the European Commission sends a letter to American tech companies with burdensome requests for information on how they plan to censor, quote, disinformation. Sometimes the European Commission will even reach out before the event happens. In August 2024, European Commissioner Thierry Breton, at the time in charge of the EU censorship law, the Digital Services Act, sent a threatening letter to X before Elon Musk's interview with President Trump. So I don't know what they're trying to keep that one from showing itself. They wanted to censor it. Breton warned X that the DSA gives the EU a massive toolkit to punish companies, including authorizing massive fines up to 6% of the company's global revenue. That's insane. With the DSA on the books, the EU can weaponize it to pressure big tech to comply with their censorship demands, potentially even global takedowns. If Europe or anyone else can demand online posts be taken down globally, free speech and the First Amendment are gone in America. The House Judiciary Committee is standing up for American sovereignty. Last month, we wrote to Britain's replacement, European Commissioner Henna Virkkunen. Let's see, and then we've also got some people testifying about this censorship enterprise. Again, the idea that a foreign group could tell us what we can do, I'm very curious how that works. And again, the censorship stuff's crazy. And if it's American news, to be able to take down an American thing like that, maybe making sure nobody outside of America can see it, but for us to tell you in Europe, tell us that we can't see something, crap, man, we'll go to another war for that. You guys want to have a world war? Let's have a world war over friggin' freedom of speech. I think many of us in this country will stand up and fight for that. Well, here is one cool call out to Rumble. Again, I've said before, I'm a stock owner, proud of it. Like, I've got some shares, but I believe in Rumble. I think Rumble's actually the future of video, believe it or not. I think there's so much crap involved with Google in general that a lot of the Google products I think are going to have to be scrapped and practically rewritten. So we'll see. But their censorship arm is going to kick in and hard. And all the people that think that that's calmed down too. It's again, I don't think we're quite done with the deep state has still got their hands on a lot of stuff. So this comfort that so many people feel is, for me, is a little not justified, I guess. But CEO for Rumble, he's getting a chance in the media seat. She does a really cool call out, and then when he finally talks, he spends an inordinate amount of time, I feel like, kind of reaffirming what she already said, and I almost feel like her expression was like, I just said that. But his question actually comes from what he says, so give him the second to get there. It's kind of worth it. But this, I think, directly is related to kind of what House Judiciary or GOP Judiciary was posting about there. Check this out.
So here in our new media seat today, we have Chris Pavlovsky, an entrepreneur who has a strong passion for protecting freedom of speech. Chris started the video sharing platform Rumble in 2013 with a mission of protecting a free and open internet from censorship by big tech and governments around the globe. The platform has always been a place for independent creators to share their authentic opinions, and they have always included President Trump, in contrast to the way he was censored by other platforms in years past. Since its founding, Rumble has grown exponentially, recently marking 67 million monthly active users. It's a lot of users. If you're watching right now and interested in sitting in this seat, you can apply, whitehouse.gov/new media. With that, I will take your questions. And Chris, why don't you kick us off on this very busy news day?
Carolyn, thank you very much to you and President Trump. It's an honor to be sitting here in the new media seat for the White House press briefing and to be able to demonstrate why freedom of expression is so important. Rumble was the victim of censorship at the hands of multiple foreign governments. It's clear there are still many countries who oppose free speech and even target American companies. Can you describe what the administration will do to protect U.S. interests and values worldwide?
Sure. Well, thanks for the very important question. And I think that free speech and ending censorship, both here at home and also abroad, is an important part of President Trump's agenda. I think first, President Trump has led by example on this front as the leader of the free world, the president of the United States, with his show of access and transparency on a daily basis. The president takes questions from all of you almost every single day and really reveals what he's thinking and feeling, and I think that serves as a great example to the rest of the world. As for tangible actions that the president has signed, he did sign an executive order, I believe on day one, certainly within the first week of this administration, to restore free speech and stop government-sponsored censorship here at home. And the EO made it very clear that federal employees are not allowed to engage in any activity that would infringe upon the American people's right of free expression. So I think the president has led quite strongly on this. And I would just add, this is part of the reason we have a new media seat, to invite new voices into this room. Again, we're going to need to expand this room because so many people are interested, and we're very excited about that. It's a privilege to cover this White House, but we want all voices to be heard. So thanks for being us with here, Chris, and I hope you enjoy the briefing. Sure.
So great question. And by the way, I just don't understand who is this woman they keep talking about in I guess foreign lands. I know they always say abroad, and it's like, where is this broad at? Where is she at? Oh, really? That just means overseas? Really? Why don't they just say overseas? All right, so I guess it's not some chick. Whatever. Always trust the voice in the head. Yep. Oh, by the way, I hope you guys know I'm joking. Who knows? You got to say that sometimes because I'll get emails. People are like, you didn't know what a broad was? I'm like, oh, man. You try to pump sarcasm all over something, slather it in it even, sarcasm mousse to do the hair. Whatever the case is. DRSlikesgold.com. It's a great place to consider protecting your wealth right now. I think there's a lot of questionable things. Obviously, stuff going on with China and Taiwan is kind of a trip right now. And literally, if for some reason something happened there, probably not going to be a good day for the stock market. Think about all the different things that are manufactured in China that probably are affecting our prices and stocks here. Also, if you think about stuff that's made in Taiwan and trades on this stock market. So just a lot of things to consider because most of those companies are good companies to invest in and nobody knows when and where and how. Now, Trump is helping with inflation, which is definitely going to help with the strength of the dollar. My girlfriend was noticing that with the exchange rate on the Filipino peso. So she's seeing it too. It's affecting some stuff. But this is a move in the right direction. What I'm going to say is diversification right now might be something to consider. If the deep state system is going to be modified, staying in that system the whole time could prove to be difficult. Probably will. Deep state, who knows? I don't know. It's one of those things where you want to make sure you're protected. And you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. And a great basket to put some of your eggs in, because it's been doing extraordinarily well, is precious metals. Precious metals have spiked. They've held their value. They hold their buying power is really what it comes down to. You're taking what just is a number. Like, what's $1,000? What's it really able to buy me right now? All right, so you buy precious metals with $1,000. And whatever you could have bought with that $1,000, that's what it's like worth. And then you go like 5 years down the road, and what you could have bought for $1,000, you can still buy with this. You cash it out, and now you can buy it, and it might be worth $4,000 at that point. Who knows? Because that's how it works. But it'll essentially hold value. It's generally how it works, right? That's for the most part. And that's why pirates have always taken their treasures, maybe, right? That's why they do that. It's worth value. It's easy, and it's in a lot of cases it's reasonably small. One coin is $2,000, man. If I had to stack some hundies, right, that'd be 20 hundies. It'd be, almost as thick. So it is a convenient way to actually store wealth also. So it's a lot of great things that happen with it. If you want to get out of your 401k, IRA, or at least diversify, which is what I recommend, tax-free and penalty-free, let my good friends help you do that. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Definitely a proud Goldco partner. I love these guys. They do amazing work. I'm a customer too. Their customer service is bar none. It was an excellent experience. It was extremely quick and efficient. I bought precious metals from them. You can also do that. They removed their cap where it used to require a certain amount. Now they'll let you pretty much buy anything. So again, data points, throw them in there, hit the button, and you're on your way to making some security with your freedom in your future, because there's just a lot of question marks. I know we got the right guy in the seat, but you guys realize we're kind of at war, right? That's the big giant ass question mark on my mind. Now again, Goldco doesn't believe in any of this crazy crap I talk about. This is just why I think it's a brilliant idea to consider diversifying out of their system into something that literally is a physical asset. It's physical. It's not something that's wavy gravy. It's literally something that's got usage. You can melt it down. You can make jewelry out of it. There's wires and stuff. There's silver, especially, very underrated. It's used in batteries, used in solar panels, used in a lot of stuff. So it's very valuable, and it's, pretty inexpensive, really, for the coins. This wouldn't be a good one to have $2,000 worth, because you'd end up with a lot of these, and it becomes heavy, right? But $2,000 for a gold nugget, if you will, totally worth it. Totally worth it. Go to DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Think about getting out of their system at least some of your stuff, just to make sure you're straddling that fence fairly, because we don't know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen. But we know they hate Trump. We know they're doing everything in their power. What's going to happen when these judges fail to be able to stop Trump from cutting off the funds? What's going to happen when those funds get cut off? A lot of things to consider. How much time you got? I don't know. Go to DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they manage to get out of you. All right, Woke Army. The reason I called it this is because I wanted to remind myself of what this sparked in me. Mark Zuckerberg laid off 3,600 staff at Meta in a shock culling spree designed to target low-performing staff. But impacted employees are coming forward to challenge the perception that Zuckerberg simply wanted to cut the dead weight, insisted that their excuse was it was a corporate facade. This wasn't about performance. It was about workforce reduction in favor of AI initiatives. We also have people saying that it lacked masculine energy, to quote Zuckerberg himself. So some are wondering if this is sort of a kind of a DEI thinning, if you will, or just people that were, didn't want to have to work in the office, didn't want to do all that stuff, right? Just expected to be paid, not have to perform. So these people sometimes that are getting laid off, what that does, and this was the thing that kind of struck me, is it creates this weird army of unemployed people. Trump's thinning out DEI and a lot of those different things. This stuff's being cut from all sorts of different companies all over the place. I think my girlfriend was even telling me Kroger was actually cutting some of their DEI stuff. So this is happening everywhere. And it's creating a lot of, one, unemployed people. Two, unemployed people that are a little bit sketchy. Not all of them, but a lot of them taking any sort of hormone replacement therapy in a lot of cases can very easily get all sorts of crazy. We've seen it happen a lot. It's odd how many of the shootings were done by transgender people. And it's, call it a coincidence or whatever, but something doesn't feel right. So this tripped me out a little bit. I was like, that might be, like, and again, not the worst group to fight against, but they are they've lost all emotional sense of reality at this point. So they're kind of dangerous from that standpoint, if you will. So if they do have weapons, they're the ones that will use them versus us that will have restraint. We're like, it's a fellow human being. I don't want to shoot you until you start freaking out and letting me know that you're a zombie. So a media blackout people are wondering about. Trump's new FEMA has handled 80% of the cases in Western North Carolina in just 5 days. Biden had 116 days to take care of any of this. They took care of 80% of it in 5 days without hiring a bunch of people or anything crazy like that. It's almost like they've been lying to us. USAID IG was fired today. Well, yesterday, I think it was. Yes, yesterday. After a report critical of impacts of Trump's administration's dismantling of the agency. This guy. Right here, Paul Martin was his name. He was informed by email from the Deputy Director of the Office of Presidential Personnel on Tuesday evening that his position as Inspector General of USAID was terminated effective immediately. Now, this is a spokesperson on conditions of anonymity, whatever. The administration is required under the law to provide 30 days notice to Congress is what they're saying. But this is kind of where we're at right now with the whole they can stop Trump from firing people or trying to force them back into the job while the court case works through. It's like, no. First off, they could do damn it. And I know Trump's going to ultimately fight back on this. And he's going to be like, either A, the appellate court better step in, B, the Supreme Court better step in, or C, I'm going to be like, I'm not doing it because the damage that they could do while you guys drag your feet is, no, it's not happening. I see a problem. I know there's a problem. I'm in charge of this. He's got all sorts of case law to back him up. He's going to win this if it ever manages to move through the courts. They don't want it to move through the courts. So a lot of this kind of stuff is happening. Trump's firing him. The judge is trying to say, you can't do that. Yeah, whatever. We'll see what happens. There's going to be a daily onslaught of this kind of nonsense. Senate committee votes this morning at 8 a.m. on Kash Patel for FBI director. And for some reason, I feel like I tried to dig that up, and that one just did not pop up. So I don't know if they delayed it again or what. Did we get it? I hope it shows up. Maybe I've just forgotten. We'll do a quick check after all is said and done. I know Tulsi came through. I feel like there was another one. RFK Jr. we're waiting on. Maybe we got the vote on Kash. Hang on. I'm not totally done yet. I think it was RFK Jr. that we don't know yet. I think Kash got in. Got through the committee anyway, I think. Senate committee votes this morning, 8 a.m. I missed the live thing because that's like 5 a.m. my time, and there's things happening in my life at that point in time that I don't have time for this. Senate committee votes on Kash Patel for FBI director. Of course, the opportunity to watch it live passed by the time I tried to get in there to watch it, but the effort was there. I really felt it. Seriously, do we not got... that was it. All right, well, we wanted to share some of this stuff because Democrats are freaking out about this guy. They're accusing Trump's FBI pick, Kash Patel, of already ordering firings. It's just funny because people are getting fired and they're like, well, he has to be doing it because he talked about it. And it's like, well, yeah, he talked about it. That's how we know which ones need to be fired. Beauvais is handling the firings, I'm sure. But we've got C-SPAM, C-SPAM, CNBC, NBC, New York Times, even Fox. No, he was actually saying positive stuff. Yeah. But yeah, New York Times negative. So it's just, again, interesting how that's actually playing out. Let's just see if we can find this really quick. So yeah, it sounds like we've got Durbin that's accusing Kash Patel of firing people. And so because of that, they're delaying his voting, it seems. Kash Patel testified. I don't see any place where it's suggesting that he actually literally gets confirmed. Let's ask it that way. Kash Patel confirmation FBI director has been delayed due to objections from Democrats. This is as of when Senate panel delay vote. Wow. Anyway, yeah, shocked. Sorry for wasting the time. Hopefully I can edit that and clean it up a little bit. Maybe. We'll see. RFK Jr. nomination for health secretary advances in Senate, teeing up the final vote. So he apparently advanced through, what did he get through? The Wednesday, they teed up the final vote of his confirmation. In a 53-47 vote, the Senate voted to clear his final procedural hurdle. So he got in. Even McConnell voted for him, so that's kind of good. That's cool. A bunch of stuff happened with Elon Musk in the office with Trump yesterday talking about DOGE. For some reason, feel like I played this, but I don't know if I did. So we're going to make sure we play it. Anyway.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about $30 million?
Right. Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But they seem to be mysteriously, they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where do they come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it. So, we're looking at,
I listened to the beginning of the DOGE thing, and they so desperately want to talk to this guy under oath. I bet they desperately want to get him to get him to talk about things that they want to try to pin him down on. I don't think it would go well because he's so friggin' smart. I think he'd be able to talk his way out of a lot of that stuff, but I don't think he's quite as polished as Trump by any stretch of the imagination. So he might say things that are harder to walk back from.
But with the support of the president, we can cut the budget deficit in half from $2 trillion to $1 trillion, and then with deregulation, because there's a lot of sort of regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to free the builders of America to build, and if we do that, that means I think we can get the economic growth to be maybe 3-4%, maybe 5%, and that means if you can get $1 trillion of economic growth and you can cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion between now and next year, there is no inflation. There's no inflation in 26. And if the government is not borrowing as much, it means that interest costs decline. So everyone's, the mortgage, their car payment, their credit card bills, anything, their student debt, the monthly payments drop. That's a fantastic scenario for the average American. I mean, imagine they're going down the grocery aisle and the prices from one year to the next are the same, and their mortgage, all their debt payments dropped. How great is that for the average American?
We had no idea we were going to find this much.
Yeah, the kid was picking his nose. That's so freaking awesome. I love that. First off, I think the idea of strutting your kid around in front of the camera and making him the most famous child in America is borderline dangerous, but you're already an uber billionaire, so I'm sure you deal with that already. Kind of, growing up in your household's got to be kind of put you on the map in a large extent, much like Trump's kid did. President Trump ordered U.S. agencies on Tuesday to work closely with top advisor Elon Musk's effort to shrink the federal workforce by identifying government employees who can be laid off and functions that can be eliminated entirely. So he has been pushing it around. Reuters is saying with Musk at his side, Trump orders U.S. agencies to plan for large-scale staff cuts. Now, one of the points of this story is to kind of connect the dots for the left and be like, hey, Musk just advises, Trump does. And that's very different than what they keep trying to sell to the public. And again, we've been dealing with the fact that they lie to the public. They just are losing the ability to continue to do that. Here's the deep state talking about why they are, the deep state Democrats, I should say, why they're involved with the DOGE subcommittee. Just telling it straight to our face.
I want to bring in someone to the conversation who very much wants those questions answered and posed to the courts. Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia of California. He's a member of the new DOGE subcommittee in the House, which is set to actually hold its first hearing at the top of the hour. And so to that end, Congressman, I've got two questions for you. One that might seem a little procedural, but first, do you guys have, as Democrats in the minority on this committee, meaningful subpoena power here?
Well, look, we've tried. And I think that this committee and our larger oversight committee have even tried to get Elon Musk to come to testify. That's been blocked by the Republicans. And so a lot of that's being negotiated still. But as of right now, we're prepared today to go in and ask and answer some really tough questions. We want to see Elon Musk, but we're also going to call out the corruption. We're going to call out the fact that we have essentially an unelected billionaire with almost as much power as the president of the United States. And I think we're going to bring the fire today. And so I think even though we don't have all the power that we would like, we're going to use every minute that we are given at this hearing to call out the corruption, the lies, and I think we're going to bring the fire today.
There's some that may question why Democrats are participating in a committee like this if Republicans are cutting you off at the pass with subpoena power, and wondering if y'all being on committees like this doesn't validate or normalize the work of DOGE, which is certainly going about in anything but normal capacity here as it tries to basically rip out root and stem various parts of government, even agencies themselves. What would you say to folks like that?
Yeah, I would say that first, I have zero interest working with Marjorie Taylor Greene, our chairwoman on this committee, or the House Republicans on this committee to help them with anything as it relates to DOGE. What we're there for and what we're there to do is to fight, to push back on the lies, to bring attention to what's going on right now at our agencies, and to make sure that people know that we are going to fight every single day to ensure that we get Elon Musk out of our private information. So it's important that we are there. Look, if we weren't there, they would have the entire committee essentially to themselves. But let's make no mistake about it. We are not going to be working with the House majority, and we're certainly not going to be working with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think folks today are going to see us get really engaged and ask really tough questions.
Because you guys are the party of, uniting, like you keep telling us. So, that makes sense. I love it when you guys demonstrate that precisely. Rep. William Timmons outlines exactly why we need DOGE, and this was from the DOGE committee. I have not finished this. It was really long, and I was even playing it at 1.5 speed, and I got through, I think I barely got through all of these dudes' opening statements. I didn't hear anything that was, jumped out. I was going to, I was trying to do a good job. But again, so much information, and it's really hard to take it all in. I think a lot of people chop stuff up and usually end up with it. So this is one of those where I'm sort of going to take liberty. I didn't listen to this even, but I'm hoping this is because of all the crap that happened. I mean, I listened to Marjorie Taylor's open and the other side's open, and it's like, whatever. It's what you would expect. There was nothing. So I'm hoping this is gold to some degree. If not, I'll maybe cut it out. I don't know. Who knows?
The gentleman yields, and I now recognize the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Timmons, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I find it sad that my colleagues across the aisle can't take this seriously. We have $36 trillion in debt. We run an annual almost $2 trillion deficit. When I got elected 6 years ago, we had $21 trillion in debt. So in 6 years, we've added over $15 trillion to the debt. And guess what? President Trump ran on fixing this problem. President Trump told the American people he would right the ship financially, and he said during the campaign that Elon Musk was going to be the person to lead this charge. The man that has turned business after business around. He's the richest man on the planet because he succeeds at his endeavors. And that's why President Trump has appointed him the head of this effort. This is a very serious problem. And it's incredibly hypocritical that my colleagues across the aisle are complaining about this because Joe Biden signed his name and wanted the American people to believe that he had the ability to forgive $250 billion with a signature. Guess what? Supreme Court ruled he did not. That's our system of checks and balances. The president, Biden, he clearly was experiencing cognitive decline. He didn't even have the ability to be charged with a crime as determined by his own Department of Justice. But he signs his name and he thinks it gives $250 billion away, redistributes taxpayer dollars. It's just crazy that we can't come together to address the greatest national security threat facing this country, our debt. Now to the task at hand, Medicaid fraud. Mr. Talcove, if we implement enhanced identity verification and enhanced income verification, what will happen? How much money will we save?
You'll save hundreds of billions of dollars. Identity verification, elimination of self-certification, and monitoring beneficiaries will prevent these transnational criminal groups from accessing those systems at scale so legitimate people who need the benefits can get them in a timely fashion.
So we're going to get actual benefits to people, to American citizens that are in need faster, because if you do it electronically through web-based, like they did in Missouri, where the pilot program saved almost 20% of Medicaid dollars. So all we have to do is adopt what has already been proven in Missouri, and we'll save 20%. To the people out there listening, we spend almost $900 billion every year on Medicaid. And if 20% of that is saved, that's almost $200 billion. We got a $1.8 trillion annual deficit. We just knocked off $200 billion. Let's keep this train going. The fact that the Democrats are filing lawsuit after lawsuit to impede the efforts of President Trump to right our fiscal ship is unforgivable. It's unforgivable. Mr. Talcove, you talked about pandemic fraud. I have a bill that would cause the IRS to share data with the Small Business Administration and the FBI and the Department of Justice that would show that you were ineligible for PPP loans and you got them. So I think that would save probably $100 billion. Do you think that we should go back and take money away from people that fraudulently got COVID money?
Yeah. During the pandemic, the PPP program was a virtual buffet for fraudsters, and it was because of that 1974 Privacy Act, where data sharing and matching is virtually impossible. Congress needs to change that.
But we can do it retroactively. We can do it retroactively. We can find the people that stole this money, hold them accountable, probably get some of the money back. So I already have that bill filed. That bill, I think, would probably get $100 billion. So now we got enhanced identity verification, enhanced income verification that has been proven in Missouri. It does work. So I'm working on that bill. We're going to drop it soon. That's $200 billion. There's a competition in Congress. I think we should have a competition on this committee. I got $300 billion in savings proposed. We got to all pull our weight because we have such a massive problem right now. But I would just ask my colleagues across the aisle to get out of the way if you don't want to help. If you don't want to help right the fiscal ship in this country, get out of the way. Stop filing lawsuit after lawsuit. We do not have the financial ability to continue down this path, and we're going to save this country with or without you. You can kick and scream all the way, or you can get out of the way. I prefer the former. Thank you, Madam Chair.
That was friggin' awesome, so I'm glad I shared that for sure. Definitely there, and the fact that they're trying to clog this up in the courts, which is a big plan the Democrats have right now, or the deep state's a better way to put it. I think the Republican deep state bastards are probably happy with that too. So again, this is how they're fighting us. We got the first lawsuit targeting foreign aid freeze. They're bemoaning the chaos in this Trump order, I guess. It's a pair of lawsuits filed in the last 24 hours. Several nonprofit groups that rely on government funds are pissed off because their stuff got, paused for 90 days. A lot of people are pissed about that. Department of Education has temporarily agreed to block representatives from the Department of Government Efficiency from accessing sensitive student loan records. They're not allowed to do that. Whoever made that call, I will guarantee you, is going to be losing their jobs. We are not a nation of bureaucrats that run it, which is what they were trying to do, unelected officials, what the whole European Union's based off of to a large extent. A bunch of people that you guys put people in charge of a thing that put people in charge of it. It's frightening. So the Department of Education is not letting DOGE have access to the data because of what they'll find. The Empire Strikes Back, of course. Judge orders CDC, FDA, and other agencies to restore the woke web pages. They can't do that. While there's a stay, they took it down. That's what Trump's going to do. The stay, this is like judges very much overreaching. 8 inspectors generals were fired by Trump file lawsuit challenging dismissal. 8 inspectors general. If it's one inspectors general, right? Why isn't it 8 inspectors generals? I don't know if that's correct or not. I don't know. This is the weirdest thing we have, by the way. The inspectors general is such a weird, whatever. I have issues all over the place, folks. Living with me is a nightmare for anybody that ever thinks that's a good idea. A group of 8 former internal government watchdogs who were fired by President Trump have filed a lawsuit challenging their terminations. All right. And I'm sure some judge, former inspectors general, they were involved in this lawsuit. They worked at Department of Defense, Veterans Affairs, Health and Human Services, State Education, Agricultural Labor, as well as Small Business Administration. A bunch of places that need to be cleaned up, a bunch of places where major fraud is showing up anyways, at least when we look at the numbers. So, yeah, the people that were inspectors general, that were making sure everything was going appropriately, you got a lot of fraud going on in your district. Seems maybe you shouldn't have a job anymore, right? I want to get somebody in there that's actually going to do their job, unlike you 8 inspectors general. Yeah, there you go. I don't know if it's like moose, right? A moose. You got 1 moose, you got 10 moose. How many moose you got? I don't know, I got 10 moose. You got 1 moose? You pussy. Right, no. Scott Jennings posted this. I feel like this editing sucks. I'm surprised Scott posted this. Whatever. But he posted it. It's good. It's showing what is happening. It's calling it out. It's even on CNN. They hate this guy, by the way. They hate this guy. They hate this guy. And he is the one thing that any friggin' moron watching CNN that's conservative is happy with, is this dude, right? They watch it for him. But every once in a while, it's worth it. Check this. This is pretty good.
Here's what I think is a joke. That you have these partisan hack Democrat attorney generals. They get together, and the only thing they know how to do is try to nullify the results of the last election by venue shopping these district court judges. They find the most lunatic liberals they can. They file lawsuits knowing full well they're going to try to usurp the president's authority, tie this up in court for years.
That stuff is sacrosanct. And you've got people going in there who don't know anything about
these are also just restraining orders.
Doing this. He knows nothing about it.
What you just said is so profound. You said these people don't know anything and they don't know what they're doing.
That's right.
But they're appointees. I understand. But they are appointees of the duly elected president. So your view, you're here as our legal expert, but your view is because you don't personally believe they know enough that the duly elected president, who appointed a Treasury Secretary and who appoints special appointees like Elon Musk, shouldn't be able to act as the president because you don't personally believe they know enough?
Well, they
is
certainly
that how it works?
No.
Or do elections mean anything to you?
Well, it's got nothing to do with elections.
Of course it does. He's doing
the fact
exactly
of the
what
matter
we
is,
truth was
there
told
is a
tonight.
law.
The truth was told.
Hold on.
Oh, no, you didn't. Yeah, he totally did, dude. He did. He did it. He said it. It doesn't matter about the election. That's what bureaucracy is, my friends. All these people that are Antifa or anti-fascist, that's fascism. I mean, they call Trump the fascist. He's not the one being the fascist. That's the funniest part. This is magic. Donald Trump posted this. DOGE has found massive amounts of fraud, waste, incompetence, and abuse, but even knowing this, a highly political activist judge wants us to immediately make payment anyway. In other words, pay even though you know the payment was fraudulently requested to be made. DOGE caught them. The judge doesn't care. Doesn't make sense, for sure. Jeffrey Tucker posted this. He was pinned before. I don't know if it was there or not. Pay attention to what has happened over the last days. Several appointed federal judges, on their own subjective judgment and using all their power, have written pieces of paper that overruled the wishes of 77 million people, or Americans, who have expressed their will concerning the shape of the regime that rules them. Instead, they say permanent bureaucrats should rule all without any say from the voters who pay the bills. This is called tyranny. And Jeffrey A. Tucker, you are correct. Intrudes on the president's lawful authority. Trump DOJ, Department of Justice, they're firing back. They're not okay with this. President Donald Trump's doubling down, of course. The court's order, this is Judge Amy, whatever. The court's order greatly intrudes on the president's lawful authority, the Department of Justice argues in its motion that they filed with District Judge Amy Berman Jackson, who had granted the administrative stay of Dellinger's firings on Monday. So second, the balance of equities and public interest overwhelmingly favor a stay pending the appeal. Meaning, leave it as it is, let's do the appeal. But they're actually trying to reverse it instead, which is very huge because Trump is operating within his rights. So for them to try to push back and say, no, you've got to do it. You've still got to do it no matter what. La, 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 la. No. A stay is adequate. And if you feel that people aren't going to get paid, well, then let's make it quick and snappy there, Judge Amy Berman Jackson. Trump's DOJ also took its request to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, claiming in a separate motion that it is, quote, unaware of any other occasion in American history where a federal court has purported to install a principal officer of the United States after the president has removed him, let alone to do so without finding that he was likely to prevail on the merits of his claim, as the district court did here. The motion to the appeals court points to the Supreme Court precedent, as well as former President Joe Biden's own 2021 firing of Andrew Saul, who was a Social Security commissioner at the time, as reasons for swatting down the lifeline Jackson tossed to Dellinger on Monday. There is already stuff out there that shows this in the courts, that this has been done before. It's done. It's law that's going to continue, right? And so this is fraudulent use of a judge's powers. And it seems probably by the judge themselves. That's where a lot of questions pop up. Now, here is our good friend Bondi talking about kind of what's going on and some other stuff, I hope. I don't know. I didn't listen to this at all.
We have so many unelected judges who are trying to control government spending, and there is a clear separation of powers. You know, they're doing it to Elon Musk, who is a great man and a good friend at DOGE. What they're doing to him is to our country is outrageous. You know, people work their whole lives and pay taxes, yet they find out that they've been giving $2 million to Guatemala for sex changes. It's outrageous, and it's going to stop. We're going to fight back, not only with U.S. aid and all these other agencies, but, you know, this is happening every day. But DOJ, we are prepared to defend all of these cases, and we will carry out President Trump's agenda.
Yep. And again, this is they don't have the leg room they used to have. There's certainly not going to be prosecutions. So judges are trying to do like what happened in Brazil, basically, where judges took over the country. So that's what they're trying to have happen, except they don't have the Supreme Court. So they're going to bump up to a ceiling no matter what. This is got to fail. It's guaranteed to fail, but it's going to take down a bunch of tainted judges with them. Lawfare judges make an unprecedented effort. So there's a few of these. I'm going to try to scroll through, but I like this article. There's a shorter thing that had them all snipped out, but not their pictures. And I wanted their pictures to kind of pop up. Judge Angel Kelly, U.S. District Judge for the District of Massachusetts. She was nominated by President Joe Biden. She granted a restraining order against the National Institute of Health funding cuts. So she's trying to stop that. That's this lady here. She also has some other controversial rulings. So she's like extra especially bad. She's ruled that a police officer did not have the right to First Amendment protections when he criticized a bill called the George Floyd Act. She dismissed a complaint from a Tufts University student who sued the university for a tuition and fees due to cancel in-person classes during COVID-19. She dismissed a case brought by 19 people alleging personal injury and distress against the Boston Public Health Commission requiring proof of COVID-19 vaccination. She dismissed a religious discrimination case brought by a hospital employee who was terminated for not being vaccinated. Just so you remember her wide face. Here is the one that we're dealing with in the previous articles. Judge Amy Berman Jackson, U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, nominated by President Barack Obama. Chief Judge John J. McConnell Jr. of the U.S. District Court for the District of Rhode Island, nominated by President Barack Obama. There you go. That's such a lovely smile. This one's scary looking. Senior Judge Colleen Kohler-Cotelli, probably, U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, nominated by President Bill Clinton. Yeah. Dude, if I woke up next to that, I'd scream, probably. Or, depending if I was at her house, it would just silently try to slowly roll out of bed where you don't move, right? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Frightening. Judge Paul A. Engelmayer. We got some extra news on him in a second. He's the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. SDNY? Much? He was nominated by President Barack Obama. I'm telling you, folks, this is like a weird gateway here. The SDNY. Weird-ass gateway. Weird gateway. Senior Judge George O'Toole, Jr. of the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts, nominated by Bill Clinton. There you go. Staring at you. I am going to slowly change your mind. Judge Kenneth J. Gonzalez of the U.S. District Court for the District of New Mexico. He was nominated by President Barack Obama. He did a whole bunch of stuff, I guess. We don't get a picture of him? What's up with that? That's George O'Toole. Aye. Whatever. He does car bombings. I'm kidding. That's not true. Bombshell Judge Engelmeyer's wife, though, apparently was linked to a non-government organization funded by USAID, which just got blocked. That's probably a funny coincidence, probably, right? You won't believe the twist. Judge Paul Engelmeyer, who just blocked a USAID reform, is married to Emily Mandelstam, who works for the New York Association for New Americans, an NGO that's swimming in USAID cash. Isn't it just a coincidence that the judge's decision directly benefits his wife's employer? Or is there something more fishy going on here? Hard to say. We got a constitutional crisis is what everybody's saying. We got NPR, we got New York Times, we got CNN, we got Wall Street Journal, Brookings, The Hill, Washington Post, Bulwark. Who cares about them? But they're all saying we're in a constitutional crisis, which is funny for all you, what's the trumpet people, right? Why am I drawing a blank on their names? Starts with a B, I swear. Brundles, whatever they are. The guys that are, they put the case together, the three brothers that essentially shows that everybody's against their oath of office. And the Brunsons, right? Oh, there it is. Finally. Phew, Jesus. That's what they were calling for, is basically a constitutional crisis. So are we potentially pushing the deep state into the corner where they literally ask for the thing that we've been wanting in order for us to be able to act? Or is this just, right? Like, this movie's funny how it's playing out. That's all I can say. Mike Lee posted this. I've been thinking about ways to hold the judicial insurrectionists accountable. Perhaps we need a law providing that when someone seeks a nationwide injunction against the government, it must go to a 3-judge district court with a direct appeal to SCOTUS. Again, stepping on each other's toes. We got 3 equal branches of government. This is, I feel like Mike Lee's potentiality is to head into the telling the judicial how they're, or legislative, how they're supposed to do their work, right? When the judicial's to make the laws, it's theirs to see how they're properly being utilized. Now, there's obvious abuse happening there, and I'm wondering how that gets dealt with. My understanding would and should be, I think, is through the actual legislative branch itself, that the Supreme Court likely has its own mechanism. It should, but again, we're finding out how well our government was literally written because it is being challenged in major ways. Here's Trump talking about something that's, oh yeah, he's talking about this corruption that's going on with the judges. Pretty good stuff.
they're paying it to and what they're paying. We have massive amounts of fraud that we caught. I think we probably caught way over a lot of billions of dollars already in, 2 weeks?
Yes.
And it's going to go to numbers that you're not going to believe. And much, as I said, much is incompetence and much is dishonesty. We have to catch it. And the only way we're going to catch it is to look for it. And if a judge is going to say you're not allowed to look for it, that's pretty sad for our country. I don't understand how it could even work.
On the buyout program, can you personally guarantee that...
Which one?
The buyout program, the operative federal workers. Can you personally guarantee that the workers who opt in to resign now will be paid through September?
They'll get their money, but they're getting a good deal. They're getting a big buyout. And what we're trying to do is reduce government. We have too many people. We have office space. It's occupied by 4%. Nobody's showing up to work because they were told not to. And then Biden gave them a 5-year pass, some of them, 48,000 of them, gave them a 5-year pass, that for 5 years you don't have to show up to work. And let me tell you, this is largely, much of this stuff is because of Biden. It's his fault. He allowed this country, what he did on our border. What he did on our border is almost not as bad as what he did with all of these contracts that have come out. It's a very sad day when we look at it. I can't even believe it. But many contracts just extend and they just keep extending, and there was nobody there to correct it. And that cannot be, I can't imagine that could be held up by the court. Any court that would say that the president or his representatives, like Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of State, whatever, doesn't have the right to go over their books and make sure everything's honest. I mean, how can you have a country? You can't have anything that way. You can't have a business that way. You can't have a country that way. Hey, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Head it out.
Back tonight. Mark Vogel will be at the White House tonight at about 10 o'clock. If you want to come over, you can say hello to him.
Did you guys get anything in return?
Not much. No, they were very nice. We were treated very nicely by Russia, actually. I hope that's the beginning of a relationship where we can end that war and millions of people can stop being killed. They've lost millions of people. They lost, in terms of soldiers, probably 1.5 million soldiers in a short period of time. We got to stop that war. And I'm interested primarily from the standpoint of death. We're losing all those soldiers. And they're not American soldiers, they're Ukrainian and Russian soldiers. But you're probably talking about 1.5 million. I think we got to bring that one to an end. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.
And get the F out of here. Yeah, I know. So we are moving in the right direction. Federal judge, apparently, I don't know, this newscast isn't real solid, but President Trump, I think, a judge finally came back and said, well, it kind of does look like he's got a right to do this. Like the Supreme Court phoned him. They're like, dude, he's totally acting within the law. You better reverse, or we will immediately appeal this or allow appeals to go through, and you're going to look like an idiot, and we will deal with that accordingly. So maybe some of those judges on that Breitbart News article might be having an opportunity to rethink what they're doing. Whatever the case is, we'll see how this movie plays out. We're getting a nice little foreshadow here, and I'm loving it.
So clarifying that the government can limit access to federal funds on the basis of the applicable authorizing statutes, regulations, and terms. Essentially, yes, the government can do so in complying with regulations, and then that the previous order does not bar both the president and much of the federal government from exercising their own lawful authorities to withhold funding without the prior approval of the district court, meaning, again, they can disperse the monies that they were allocated within the law, within the confines of the law, and that the government does not have to seek preclearance from the courts on terminating funding as long as they have the authority to do it, as governed by the applicable statutory, regulatory, or grant terms. So essentially, the court is confirming what the Trump administration has maintained and what common sense can project, which is that within the confines of regulatory and normal authority, of course, you can do what you want with your own money, and you don't need a court's approval to do so.
Yep, that's
so.
Yeah, so it looks like, I mean, they shouldn't legally have a leg to stand on, but it looks like that's actually coming to fruition. And once it kind of gets hit up in one solid place, and it's kind of done at that point. So people finding out about the $59 million to a migrant hotel, well, the press secretary, leave it. Well, she's got something to say about it. It's pretty awesome.
What does the response of the Trump administration send to any federal bureaucrats that are thinking about obstructing the president's agenda?
They will be held accountable. The president is signing executive orders daily, and he expects all officials across the administration, regardless if they are a political appointee or if they are a career bureaucrat, to adhere to the will of the American people and the 77 million Americans who reelected President Trump. He is here for a reason, and he is focused every day on implementing his administration's goals and sending $59 million to a migrant hotel to house illegal immigrants when there are still people in North Carolina and California who have not received FEMA funding is not something that this administration is going to tolerate.
Is it just me, or is it when you start moving the arm part? Because if you think about where the arms are in the body, it's way up towards your head, right? So theoretically, the T shape for the cross is actually, you would think, more appropriate, 100%, right? Based off of how somebody is built. Now, again, do you have to have their head at the top of the thing? No. So you could be kind of a plus shape, maybe, I guess. But doesn't that kind of take away from that shape a little bit? I don't know. I feel like it does. And it starts to get really close to that place where it's no longer a T, but now an upside down T or just a plus, which is close. I wonder where you guys kind of think about that. I trip on it a little bit. I feel like the crucifix or cross has changed or been changing, been shifting downward, which is kind of, symbolic.
I want to bring in
my opinion, is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, people. I'm not going to play this video, but what this is essentially, what he's trying to say in a very long way, and he does a poor job of it. No offense to him. It's weird. This kind of just came in, just got typed in. It seemed like it was very poorly done. The DHS says it has retrieved, I guess, that $59 million from FEMA. So that money that FEMA paid those 4 employees that have been fired, and they talk about that too, they've been fired. Those 4 employees tried to circumvent this rule. They got caught. They took the money back. New York doesn't get it. The hotels don't get it. This got taken back. We saved some money. That's pretty fantastic. Trump House allies have unveiled a bill hand in hand with DOGE crackdown. Rep. Andrew Clyde is seeking to repeal the Impoundment Control Act. So this is actually an interesting little act. So he's leading the legislation to repeal this Impound Control Act. It's a 1974 Nixon-era law aimed at stopping the president from having unilateral say over government spending. I almost wonder if, Nixon's like, I'm going to take us out of this war. And they're like, no, you're not. Maybe. But it would give Trump greater ability to accomplish his goals. So we'll see. They're actually trying to... There is, it seems, some legislation that controls a little bit of what he can do. I think the impoundment, I have to look into it, but I would guess, based off of the stuff we've been seeing on lawyers talking about it, that it has more to do with him moving money from where government said it could be spent to a place it couldn't. Kind of like when he wanted to move money for the border wall. They wouldn't let him do anything but try to take it. He took it from the military because that was a place he had actual control over. Legally had budgetary control over where the money was. They allotted money to a specific place. He could then deal or dole it out differently than what they hoped. So I think it has more to do with him trying to spend money outside of the general realm. And again, military spending on military, since it's about controlling our borders and protecting us. Yeah, he had it justified in the courts. They couldn't touch him. Trump knows what he's doing. So them trying to open it up, I don't think is necessary, but yay, I'm glad they're doing this. Thank you, Rep. Andrew Clyde. I don't know if this is necessary for where we're at the second. And again, maybe this gives too much power. Maybe it doesn't. I mean, I trust Trump, but can we guarantee the next president's going to be good like Trump? Like, he's trying to Trump-proof this for others, like going forward, so a president can't come in and undo all this, which, again, Biden was trying to do as well, but he's just not. The deep state's not very good at it. Arizona congressman reintroduces a bill to abolish OSHA. He's introducing this at the federal level. Personally, I'd love to see that happen too. And I agree with a lot of the arguments. OSHA doesn't necessarily make things better. by any stretch, and states really should manage this. You got a state that is letting people just die because they don't have to wear harnesses when they do crazy stuff, like, or whatever, strap themselves onto the scissor lift when they go way the hell up there. Yeah, if the state's allowing that, then the state's got to pay it too. Like, it puts the onus on the state for any sort of issues that befall them. But yeah, so OSHA's, again, one of those places where probably way too much overreach from the federal government. Republicans try to save USAID food program. This seems to be one of the programs that might be a good one. So the GOP bill is actually proposing to move the oversight of the $1.8 billion program to the Agriculture Department. Now, I don't know if that makes it a good thing or not, but that's how you should take something that you want to keep. And what I believe this does to a degree is it takes U.S. farmers' crops and essentially buys from them at market price. Maybe market, best I understand, probably around market price. I don't think the farmers are getting rich, but at the same time, it's selling their crops for sure and sending that food overseas. That's awesome. I'm all about that. 1.8 billion. If it's actually buying farmers' stuff and we're doing that, cool. It makes me wonder why we're not doing a better job at selling a lot of the stuff close to here, and why we need to do that. We should get better at that trade thing. So Trump probably looks at a way to, I would think, look at a way to trim that at least. Like, we should be able to drop that down to about 1.2 billion, 1 billion, maybe, right? Like, we ought to be able to find a way to sell more of their crops easier. And he's working on that with Canada buying some of our food and other countries buying some of our food. The House GOP has released a new budget resolution to initiate the reconciliation process. This resolution provides $4.5 trillion. This is a new funding bill, basically. It's one of the bills, the big bill, I think. $4.5 trillion in funding for the Ways and Means Committee to secure tax cuts. However, Ways and Means Chair Jason Smith has expressed concerns that this amount may be insufficient to achieve all the objectives set by the Republicans. Again, it's just a deep state bastard looking for more money. I think we should punch him in the face. I'm kidding. We should never do that, for sure. Any one of your wonderful, what do you guys call yourself? My colleague or whatever? I'm kidding. We should never do it. Violence is never okay. I say it all the time. Whatever. Okay. Can't even crack jokes about shit anymore, like publicly anyway, as a public figure. I'll come after you. You said, yeah, but I then immediately said I was joking. I shouldn't have to. President Trump announces a President's Intelligence Advisory Board. This is distinguished and trusted group of patriots to serve the President's Intelligence Advisory Board, the PIAB. These individuals will advise the President of our nation's most important security challenges and ensure that the intelligence community is working to advance the President's America First agenda. So the chair is Mr. Devin Nunes. It's a beautiful thing. And some other people, I didn't really, Brad Robert Wenstrup was probably the only name I recognized. You guys probably recognize a bunch of these. Gerber, Sandra R. Gerber, I feel like, I don't know if it's just because of the Gerber name, and there was a Gerber person that was in the news not long ago, but that's probably as close to that one as I get. But yeah, some powerful people are a part of that. It's fantastic. We traded out a Russian spy for an American that we got back. That American we got back, I actually ended up kind of waking up in the middle of the night. It's been happening a little bit lately. And I was rewatching, I guess, but Mark Fogel showing up and getting off the plane, and then he came into the White House, and Trump met him, and it was kind of interesting. Mark Fogel's interesting guy, another individual that went to Russia with prescription marijuana and ended up in jail. Here, just anybody in my voice range, if you go to Russia, I don't care if you got a prescription or not, do not take marijuana with you. Don't take pills, don't take marijuana, don't take a vape pen, don't take anything that has THC in it. You will seriously end up in jail, breaking rocks. And he tells quite a story. He said he ended up in a hospital for 100 days overall, and he said he got over 400 injections. He has no idea what the hell they injected him with. So God knows what crazy shit he's got inside of him right now. But needless to say, we released Russian Alexander Vinnik back to Russia in this exchange of prisoners, if you will. This guy was involved in a big crypto laundering scheme, $4 billion, pretty good sized one. It was called BTC-E, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges. So anyway, here was our gentleman coming home. Pretty cool. Had the flag wrapped around him. It's like, the dude's stoked. He's been there like 3 years or whatever, 3+ years. So, yeah, big deal coming home. Adam Bowler, U.S. Special Envoy for Hostage Affairs, told reporters at the White House that President Trump has secured the release of an unnamed American citizen from prison in Belarus, along with 2 non-American, including Radio Liberty European journalists. What I was hearing last night, and I haven't seen anything to say differently, but this almost implies to me there might be one more, but that Trump had it up to 10 people that were being released from all over the place. Maybe it's 11, but 10 at least. 7 was what they were originally reporting, and we picked up an extra 3, so I'm not sure if this is part of that. Again, big deal going on, and Trump is making huge changes already. I mean, dude's been in there, what, 3 weeks? Man, imagine where we'd be at 6 months, right? It's going to be crazy. U.S. egg industry sees record chicken deaths from bird flu. The only reason I brought this up, I've been ignoring all these stupid stories for a couple weeks now. They've been, there's someone died over here from this mysterious sickness that came from a cow. What I worry about is any of you all that have any sort of chickens, you're growing chickens, if you will. I know it's not probably the right term to use, but it's funnier that way. But yeah, growing chickens. If you are, don't let anybody in to test them, even if it's free, because they're going to find positive results, and that's going to end up you killing all your chickens so they can feel safe about themselves. Keep that in mind. This is what they're doing kind of right now, because many, many, many chickens are dying. Did you guys notice the egg prices are still high, but not even close to what they were? There was one point I literally saw a dozen eggs or whatever. It looked like it was like almost $30. I was just like, what? They were like, I don't know, organic or some, stupid thing like that. But I was like, damn. I don't know. I could probably pass on eggs. There's other ways to get protein. I'll survive. I will survive. I like this guy. This one here, Healthy Home, beautiful products, and it seems to be making a difference. This is one of the ones where I'm really kind of noticing the difference. And then I've got 2 really cool experiments going on right now, and we're going to find out how those goes. But this is my good friends at Healthy Home or Heal Thy Home. There's 2 ways to look at this set of words. There's a way to join too, by the way. You guys join, you can join under me. That's if you like this product so much you actually think you got friends that you want to try to talk into buying, and then you get a little coupon code, if you will. If you're interested in doing that, and you think this, because again, I started taking it, and this was one where it's funny, the people that hooked me up with Healthy Home, like the way advertising works, kind of funny. They'll reach out to you and they're like, yeah, I do this thing, and you look into it and you're like, all right, I'll go for it. But when I do it, I actually buy the product full price, like what you'd pay, basically. I buy it full price, I then use it, and then see what I think, and then I talk to you guys about it, right? Like I never ever talk about it before I have the product. I never talk about it before I've even spent a little time with the product. Sometimes my product opinion changes, or sometimes they do bad things, like my pillow. When they came out with the 2.0 pillow, I had a really hard time with that. I don't know for any of you guys that really follow me and actually pay attention. Like, I had a hard time with that. That one broke me. It broke me. Broke me with the advertiser. Because everything I was saying about them I loved, but here I am, I have to talk about this pillow that I didn't like as much as the original. I like the original pillow more. So that's how I roll. And I think you guys pick up on it from the most part. This product is awesome. Healthy Home. Heal Thy Home. Healthy Home. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. So I was like, holy crap, I forgot to take my STEM Active today. This is the one where I swear to God, I think this is what affected my shoulder and really helped heal it up. Stem cells are cells that are, androgynous, if you will. And like, say you've got a sore muscle, or you've got bones that need repairing, like you got a broken bone that's mending. And so what stem cells are cells that are, like I said, androgynous, that can kind of become whatever they need to be. So if you need more bone cells, stem cells will run down there and become bone cells. They just have the ability to change. If your heart's somehow healing itself, assuming it can, I mean, the liver's a good example. I know it can, but you need liver cells. Your stem cells are running down to your liver all the time and becoming liver cells and regrowing your liver. Your liver's surprisingly regenerative. Lungs, the same thing. You've got some lung problems and you're healing, and your lungs are surprisingly robust as well. Stem cells will become lung cells. You, as you age, lose your stem cells. They go smaller and smaller. That's why they like to use aborted fetuses stem cells. That's not what's in these products. I think they're younger, but whatever. I don't even know if they're from humans, frankly. I know they're like better for you. They don't. I haven't looked into it. I'll be honest. I assume they're definitely from healthy ways of doing this kind of stuff, natural type stuff, or from people that are, anyway, they can make them in labs too. Whatever the case is, when you take this, from what they say, is it actually helps your own body, its count of stem cells. It helps them jump like 6 million, and normally it's like 18 million or something like that, and that reduces as you get older. So this actually makes a huge difference. So these stem cells, you got them running around fixing stuff. There's a gel, you can do the pills. I do the pills, it's just easier. But they have a gel. You'd rather do that. You don't like taking pills? Cool. Amaze is the collagen supplement. This stuff's awesome. This is the one I've got an experiment going with my girlfriend. She's got a really jacked up shoulder, and I'm curious how much that's the collagen, how much the collagen helps. What I've noticed is she has this little weird itchy spot on her forehead. Since she started taking the collagen, that's actually gotten way better. Now, she's still putting the same lotion on it that she's been doing, the same BS, but I am seeing a difference. It seems to be kind of healing. It's this weird little itchy thing, and then she touches it and makes it worse. So maybe she's getting better at not touching it, though I am not putting my money on that. I'm putting it on the Amaze, because it'll amaze you. Collagen's used for your skin, so it helps with wrinkles, sagging skin, weakened sore muscles, discomfort in joints, just lifeless hair. It helps with all that stuff. Nails. This is what collagen does. It helps in all sorts of stuff in your body. It's the most important protein in your body. This is a great way to supplement that, get more of that into your body, because that's one of the problems that we run into. Free radicals are essentially ions that have the ability to bump up to a cell and kind of jack the cell, pull something off of it that matters to the cell, and then change it a little bit. What this product does, AO12, and I haven't taken this yet, so I haven't experienced it, but AO12 is supposed to be taking those free radicals. It grabs them kind of and then just removes them from your body, so it helps them before they do damage to you. So you get a lot of this stuff running around. It's like and it's molecular, where it bounces off of your good cells, but the bad ones that are trying to destroy your good cells, it attaches to them. It's like built to do that. So it's very, very cool for that, and it's berry flavored as well. This one I love. I love this one. Take this before I go to the gym, usually about 20 minutes, 30 minutes before I leave. And this is awesome. It's the nitric oxide booster. I just noticed an energy difference. I think it helps put a little extra oxygen in your blood. I think it's one of the things that assists. It also helps with your virility, if you will. But nitric oxide booster is just awesome. It gives me energy in a weird way, and it seems to last for quite a while. The packet's awesome. It goes down. It's actually my favorite thing to take of all the stuff. I actually would say at this point I'm starting to enjoy it, and it makes a huge difference. This one I'm in love with. So Prime is an incredible product. Nitric oxide activator, highly recommend it. And then they've got stem cells for your pets. Keep that in mind. If you got a pet that's also healing, or a pet that's maybe got its own set of problems, this can actually help with the healing process with your pet. So again, great products. Go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Just make this great step to make a big step in your health. And that's really what it is. You're manifesting health when you start making choices that are in line with health. That's kind of one of the fun things about it, is as you manifest a healthier life, you start to make choices that are healthier. You go to the gym, you start eating better, you'll start doing things along those lines, and then of course taking products that actually help and make a big ass difference. Yeah, you'll appreciate them, that's for sure. And of course, if you want to join and sell, you just hit the join button, go in that way. Certainly use my name as a helper, if you don't mind. It's good for me. I think it does it automatically from my site, but if not, use Dan Radio Style, course, because that is who I officially am. Yeah. We got some interesting Taiwan action going on. They detected 62 Chinese aircraft as U.S. ships transit the waters. So something's going on. Maybe Taiwan or China was a little pissed about the fact that U.S. sent some warships through there. Apparently 2 of them, the infamous Taiwan Strait. Of course, Trump is doing that. China is supposedly not real close with us right now. And they've really not really talked. I don't think Xi and Trump have talked yet. Trump has been pretty kind with his words about Xi, kind of acknowledging who he is, but he's also held his ground as far as, I'm going to be here for America, and that's not going to work well for China. So Xi knows that Trump is not good for Chinese business, if you will. So, at drslikesgold.com. Guys, this is something to keep in mind. This is a major data point that is still floating around with not a lot of help. Zelensky proposed a swap of seized territory with Russia. He basically wants to swap out certain areas to get back his certain areas. He hasn't said which ones. I would assume he wants Crimea. I think that's the port. He'd probably want that back mostly, but whatever. We'll see how that plays out. I don't think Trump's going to play that game. Pete Hegseth is like, we ain't sending any troops.
The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement. Instead, any security guarantee must be backed by capable European and non-European troops. If these troops are deployed as peacekeepers to Ukraine at any point, they should be deployed as part of a non-NATO mission, and they should not be covered under Article 5. There also must be robust international oversight of the line of contact. To be clear, as part of any security guarantee, there will not be U.S. troops deployed to Ukraine.
And this is where we're being very specific about making sure that NATO doesn't drag us into a war, and that we're not going to let you, NATO, because NATO is controlled by the deep state as well. Trump figured all this stuff out early, and now we're literally doing something about it. So we're living through that part of it. It's pretty fun. Donald Trump tripped this out. I just had a lengthy and highly productive phone call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. We discussed Ukraine, the Middle East, energy, artificial intelligence, the power of the dollar, and various other subjects. We both reflected on the great history of our nations and the fact that we fought so successfully together in World War II, remembering that Russia lost tens of millions of people, and we, likewise, lost so many. Not nearly as many as them. We each talked about the strengths of our respective nations and the great benefit that we will someday have in working together. But first, as we both agreed, we want to stop the millions of deaths taking place in the war with Russia-Ukraine. President Putin even used my very strong campaign motto of common sense. We both believe very strongly in it. We agreed to work together very closely, including visiting each other's nations. We have also agreed to have our respective teams start negotiations immediately, and we will begin by calling President Zelensky of Ukraine to inform him of the conversations, something which I will be doing right now. I have asked Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Director of the CIA John Ratcliffe, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, and Ambassador and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff to lead the negotiations, which I feel strongly will be successful. Millions of people have died in the war that would not have happened if I were president, but it did happen, so it must end. No more lives should be lost. I want to thank President Putin for his time and effort with respect to the call and for the release yesterday of Mark Fogel, a wonderful man that I personally greeted last night at the White House. I believe this effort will lead to a successful conclusion, hopefully soon. Very beautiful. Now, he then follows up. I just spoke to President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine. The conversation went very well. He, like President Putin, wants to make peace. We discussed a variety of topics having to do with the war, but mostly the meeting that is being set up on Friday in Munich is Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio will lead the delegation. I am hopeful that the results of that meeting will be positive. It is time to stop this ridiculous war where we have been, has been massive and totally unnecessary, or death, where there's been a huge amount of death and destruction. God bless the people of Russia and Ukraine. So, yes, we are hoping to make a giant difference. Department of Injustice, well, it's now Justice, hopefully, has charged 2 Russian nationals with allegedly operating a cybercrime group that used ransomware to attack hundreds of entities, making over $16 million in the process. I just want to say, folks, and this is what bugs me the most about the information that we have to provide out there, our security of our data has nothing to do with cyber anything. It doesn't. I mean, the cyber is hopefully what's going to catch them once they've got in and started doing bad stuff. But they're going to catch them after they've already started doing some bad stuff. And the problem is phishing. The problem is the people that work at the companies. You're essentially trusting your data with the individuals at the companies that are protecting your data, because all they've got to do is fall into a phishing scam with an email thing, because it happens all the time. They click on a link, they go in, they put their password and information in, and then instantly the bad people have access to the system and they start digging and rooting and figuring out what they can. And the second they find anything, well, they act, or they, inject Trojan horse. They do all sorts of crazy things. The second they get in, it's bad. So it comes down to the idiot that reads an email that thinks it's actually somebody else. And no offense to anybody that does that, but I mean, you kind of are. Like and it's unfortunate. They try to train people to do that. But like I was at my company that I used to work with, right? They would give us trainings on how to identify these crap emails, these phishing attempts. We had access to a lot of information that was interesting. I don't trust any email, so it's easier for me. I tend to, but there's a lot of them that come close, that look real. You got to look at that, what it's sent from. It's very important to the what's at the whatever.com. Like that part of it's really important. If it's got anything other than what it should be, go to the website, the actual specific website. Don't use the link. The link is dangerous. Dan Scavino posted about the winter storm in the White House shortly after we get You'll See from 8chan. So I just want to point out something, and this is all just an example. One of the things, this is such a long video today. I apologize, guys. It is when you believe something is happening, like you've got it all figured out, right? You've got it all figured out. And so you believe that everything that happens, you put through that filter, and it has to fit your belief. Flat Earth people are a great example. Q is a great example, and I'm not ripping on anybody. Flat Earth I listen to because there's some interesting things you guys say, but most of it, you can't deal with some of the other aspects that we can physically see in our sky. It's like, well, why does that happen? And when you ask them, they're like, I don't know. That's different. It's like, well, but you got to be able to explain all your shit with your physics. Like, you can say it's flat, but then you got to start explaining a lot of stuff. Just do, right? Just how it is. Same situation here. Q believes very strongly that Q's coming back, or a lot of people that just like everything Q, every post that happens, anytime Donald Trump says anything, how many letters are there, what time was the post, what date was the post, what did he say, was there any missing letters, extra letters, right? And then they go running off to find the match, which has got to make it really hard. Like, I assume Trump just truths what he does, and he's like, yeah, if it coincidentally matches in some weird way, cool, but otherwise, and I'm sure there's some plan in there. Don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with it. But this is a lot of people saw the fact that there was a post from Dan Scavino that it was winter, meaning the storm's here, but it's actually snowing in D.C. So Scavino's showing that it's snowing. It's kind of like if somebody shows a dog, they're like, dog comes. It's like maybe they just love their dog, and they're just sharing their dog, and the dog's cute as hell. So it's snowing at the White House. Trump's having people over. There's snow falling in the background. But these people are like, the storm. Remember Q talked about the storm. And now we've got, of course, 8chan saying, you'll see there's something coming up. And then, of course, that moved into uploading. All right? Well, yeah, all he's doing, Mr. Ron over there, all he's doing, he's selling a new meme coin. That's it. Selling a new meme coin. And everybody that believed whatever they believed made this fit their narrative and were wrong. Now, I just want to say for all of you that fell for this, whenever you make an argument about how conspiracy theorists and how we're always right, no, we're not. Sometimes we see coincidences where they don't need to be. Because you believe something that can create a coincidence. Right, wrong, and different. Best way to come at it is, I don't know what's going on. What are they telling me? What are they showing me? What does that tell me for sure? What do I know for sure from this? That's all it is. Reading into it, but to assume truth from reading into something you don't know for sure, you're making speculation. We've got to be very good at this. At least you guys, specifically, I'm worried about. Y'all got to be better than everyone else, because these people are going to read this kind of stuff and be like, Q's going to post again, or whatever. We keep falling for it. Well, my fellow friends. Federal Appeals Court upholds singer R. Kelly's convictions, their 30-year prison term. Yeah, this was the last story. Interesting. Yeah, he tried to get out of this. It's interesting. He's the one that likes to pee on people, too, and one of the funniest Dave Chappelle videos is seeing him singing that song, I Want to Pee on You, Pee on You. He was being R. Kelly. Very funny. Very good song, too, actually, I think. So, not that Chappelle watches my show, and God forbid if he did, it'd scare the hell out of me. But yes, powerful stuff. He will pee on you. Pee on you. Folks, we are in a battle. And how this plays out, ultimately, it's all going to work out in the best, right? It is, just no matter what. Even if you just sat on your hands and did nothing from this point out, pretty sure we're going to be okay. But it's going to go better if you guys are kind of helping with this manifestation, if you're helping with this better world that we're trying to open up, this golden age we're trying to create. If you keep envisioning where we're trying to go, rather than the darkness that we've come from, and keep looking forward, you'll be amazed how much that will help this process. I know it sounds crazy, but I dare you to prove me wrong. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.